Hey humans of the world, I'm Pragya Gargi and today is a Tuesday, which means it's time for True Crime Tuesday. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I am really excited for it, and you can show me some love by liking this video and sharing with your friends and subscribing to the channel. If you are new to the channel, hello, hi, I sit here every second Tuesday and discuss stories of true crime, serial killers, cults, paranormal activities, UFO tales, basically anything spooky kooky. So if you're interested in the same, please consider subscribing. Today's case is an extremely interesting case of reincarnation of Dorothy Eady. Her story is so baffling that the New York Times called this case as Western world's most intriguing and convincing cases of modern histories of reincarnation. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Dorothy Eady was born in London in 1904, and she was a single child of Irish parents who belonged to the lower middle class family status. Her father was a tailor and her mother was a homemaker, and they didn't really have a lot of money going on for them, but they still provided Dorothy with everything she needed. They gave her her best life. At the age of 3, Dorothy fell down a flight of stairs and she hit her head pretty badly. So the doctor came and he checked on Dorothy, and upon checking, he pronounced her dead, like she died, she was gone. And her parents were obviously devastated. But when the doctor came back an hour later to collect Dorothy's body, he found that she was well and alive and she was just chilling in her room playing with toys. And obviously Dorothy's parents were furious. They were like, what kind of a doctor are you? Like, what is wrong with you? How can you pronounce her dead when she just seems to be completely fine? And the doctor was astonished. He was like, no, but when I checked her an hour ago, her body showed no signs of life. She was dead. And this was a major incident in Dorothy's life because after she woke up, she was not the same little girl as before. And her parents soon found this out when Dorothy started speaking English in a foreign accent. So she would sit under the kitchen table and cry for hours and hours, insisting her parents to take her home. And her parents grew increasingly concerned. Like, they told her, but sweetie, you are home. This is home. And she used to just deny it. She used to be like, no, this is not my home. Take me home. And she described home from her dreams, which she had. Like, she had these vivid dreams of a vast building with huge columns, and these columns were wrapped around in fruits and flowers, and there were gardens around this building. She said that the gardens were beautiful, magnificent, and sometimes she would wake up in the night and she would cry in her bed, just begging, she was insisting and persisting that she wanted to be in this garden. Like, she longed for it so much that she just couldn't contain it in herself. There was another strange behavior which Dorothy showed. Was she was getting astonished, like she was shocked and in awe of everyday items. Like, she used to see these everyday items and be amazed by how these things worked, which she used, like she had seen these items before in her life, but now suddenly she was amazed by them. Also, she started acting a little bit detached emotionally to her parents. And one day in a book which she was reading, she ended up finding a picture of ancient Egypt. And she just pointed to it and she said, there it is. That is where I belong. That is my home. So yeah, this is where Dorothy's obsession, if I may call it that, began. Now, Dorothy's behavior was not welcome by the people around her. So Dorothy was being raised a Christian and she used to go to this Sunday school. She was kicked out of there because she had started comparing ancient Egyptian religion with Christianity. So they just were like, bye, we don't need you here. So yeah, they expelled her. Even the girls' school which she attended, they expelled her as well because she refused to sing a hymn. And in this song, there was apparently a line which sort of asked God to curse the SWAT Egyptians. So she refused to sing this line and she was expelled from her school. One day, Dorothy's parents took her to the British Museum, and when she reached the Egyptian galleries, she was elated. It is said that upon seeing these exhibits of ancient Egypt, she just dropped down to her knees and started kissing the statue's feet, and she started crying and she had these happy tears, and she said, "This is where I belong, this is my home, these are my people." She just sat down at the foot of a mummy which was enclosed in a glass case, and she just refused to separate from it. At one point she found a picture of the temple of Sety the First, which is located at Abydos, and she looked at the picture and she said, this is my home. And she's looking at this huge picture, and of course the picture is of the temple now in its current state, which is very it's tattered, it's run down, it's in ruins. And she sees this picture and she's like, but what's happened to it? And she pointed out to a large area near the temple and she said, here were the gardens. Where are the gardens? So obviously she's a child, she does not understand that the temple was how she was describing the temple was like that thousands of years ago. And she created a big scene in the museum. She refused to leave it, and her parents had to force her out of there. So Dorothy became very obsessed with pharaohs, priestesses, ancient Egypt, and the idea of going home. That her parents, they decided to seek psychiatric help for her, but nothing discouraged Dorothy, and her obsession just grew with time. She was then discovered by Wallace Budge, who was a leading Egyptologist at that time. He was a big expert in his field, he was renowned at the time. And he found her and he saw the little girl's interest, and he was like, okay, I will teach her hieroglyphics, how to read and write this ancient language of Egyptians. And Dorothy learned it very fast. In fact, she said that she was not learning it, but she was remembering it from before. So she learned reading and writing hieroglyphics within 2 years, and she was extremely good at it. At the age of 15, Dorothy started claiming that Sety the First himself, and Sety the First was a pharaoh in ancient Egypt, and she said that he was her lover, and he himself was visiting her in her dreams, and he was describing how her life was in ancient Egypt. In her later 20s, she took a job for an English Egyptian magazine, where she met an Egyptian student called Abdel Maguid. To her much joy, the couple decided to move to Egypt when they got married. It is said that when Dorothy landed there in Egypt, she just kissed the ground and she said that, I am going to stay here forever on Egyptian soil. Soon the couple got married and they had a son, and they named him Sety. Yep, not much thought going on there. She just named him Sety, and she herself took the name of Sety, which means in Arabic, mother of Sety. Abdel used to sometimes see Dorothy get up from her bed in a trance-like state and go to her table and just start what many call automatic writing, and she would start writing in hieroglyphics. And she would wake up the next morning and she would say that her spirit guide Hora was explaining her and telling her in detail about her previous life, and that's what she was writing in, she was scribbling, dream journaling in hieroglyphics. So yeah, in fact, Abdel's father, he once ran out of the house because he said that he saw a pharaoh sitting at the edge of Dorothy's bed. Now Dorothy's this dream writing, it spanned for 70 pages, and it described her life, her previous life, she was born 3,300 years ago, and her name was Bentrishit. Her father was a soldier and her mother was a vegetable seller. Even in this life, something major happened to her at the age of 3. Her mother died and her father sent her to the temple of Sety, which was in Abydos. So when she was 12, the high priest at the temple of Sety, he gave her an option. She could either go out into the world by herself, or she could stay there at the temple and be raised and become a priestess. Without really weighing her options much, she decided to take the vows of celibacy and become a holy priestess. A little later in her life, Bentrishit met Pharaoh Sety when he was overlooking the construction of the temple garden. The emperor, he was just smitten by the girl's youth and beauty and intelligence, and they soon became secret lovers, which eventually led Bentrishit falling pregnant. The rumors of the pregnancy was rife in the temple, and the penalty for breaking a holy vow of celibacy was just one: death. So, to protect her beloved pharaoh from public humiliation and a scandal, Ben Rashid decided to commit suicide. Now, back to the story of Sety. In 1956, she became the first woman to work in the Egyptian Department of Antiquities at Abydos. In fact, Sety proved herself to be invaluable over there. She was able to point out exactly in the temple where the gardens were located, the supposed gardens, because before this, there were no records of the garden. Okay, the people, the archaeologists over there, they had no clue, no evidence, nothing to support the fact that there was a garden over there in the temple. But she was so adamant, and she took them to that site and she told, just like, dig over here and you will find the garden, you'll find some evidence. And they really did. After careful excavation, the archaeologists found tree stumps and evidences of gardening over there. So there really was a garden, yeah, from her dreams and everything, it was there. She also led the archaeologists to dig for a secret tunnel at the north end of the temple, and sure did they find it. And she could have had no knowledge of all of this because none of them knew. Even like the leading excavators of the place, they did not know of this. But Sety said that she knew of this because of her memories. The most famous story about her was this interaction which she had with the chief inspector of the Egypt's Department of Antiquities. He arrived one day at the temple of Sety and he took her to one of the places in the temple which hadn't been open to public at all, and it was pitch dark inside over there. And he told her that there are some paintings here on the walls. If you can describe me the paintings, the artifacts, and if you can tell me where the location of them were. And Sety did so with astonishing accuracy. She was able to describe exactly what the paintings were, what the themes of the paintings were, and where each of these paintings were located. She was able to walk till there and point it out. And that was bonkers, because these paintings and these excavations, these artifacts had not been published. They had not been made public before, and she did not even make one mistake while identifying them. Dorothy had like other quirks about her. She was unafraid of cobras. Yeah, she had like cobra pets. She used to feed them, and she used to sometimes even be able to hypnotize them. Also, she was known to have like medicinal healing abilities. She used to recite spells and incantations which she had read in a book which was written in hieroglyphs, and she used to use these spells to heal a lot of people and herself. Like, she healed herself out of wearing glasses, and no one can like tell her all of this, like these spells, because no one could read hieroglyphics better than her. She also claimed that beneath the temple of Sety there is a huge library vault with records of histories and religions, and this hasn't been excavated yet. She also claimed that the Sphinx was much older than what the experts believe. During this time, Eady befriended many Egyptologists who just took her word by face value. They valued her opinion highly. And it is rather crazy to think about, because these people were working on extremely important research, and they used to take her word for it. If she said that there is something at a certain place, they used to go there and dig it up, and they definitely used to find things over there. Her guesses and predictions, they were never wrong. She had immense knowledge about the ancient life of Egyptians, and she helped solve many mysteries. She published her own papers and articles and research and books, and many Egyptologists, they said that a big part of their research, like, it could not have been possible without Sety. So was Sety really living the life as a reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian priestess? There is a theory of reincarnation which fits this particular case. It's called the replacement theory. It basically says that after someone has died for like a few minutes and they wake up back, they come back as entirely different people. They have memories and identification and personality of someone else who died before them. There is a Hindi term for it called prakaya pravesh, which basically means a wandering spirit enters into one body, which is like an empty vessel, and they just occupy it. and the body, it remembers the life of someone else. So I find it extremely intriguing that she knew these details which no one should have known, because no one had found out till then all of these artifacts, and she was able to point out exactly where they are, where they're supposed to be. So what do you think? Is her life really an incarnation, or did she have just an extreme obsession for ancient Egypt? What is your opinion on this? I'm excited to know. Let me know down in the comment section. Either ways, she had a remarkable life. I'm sure we can all agree to that. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you had fun in today's video. I'll see you the next time. Till then, take care of yourself and do not forget to subscribe and hit that like button. I'll see you. Bye bye.